So good morning, everyone, and happy Space Up Saturday. I hope you're all doing okay. From last night, and you have formed teams or joined teams yourself. So I'm just gonna let the rest of the leads say hi, hello as well. So I'm Jen, actually from London.
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
I'm Hazel from Southampton.
Good morning, Awais from Glasgow.
Yeah, good morning, Victor from Newport.
Good morning, I'm Alex from Bristol.
Good morning, I'm Georgia from Cambridge team.
Good morning, this is Valentin from B2 Space in Newport.
Hi, good morning, it's Silvia Vignorini from Cambridge.
Cool. And today we're going to be taking any questions you have, providing some updates, looking at some of the mentors, and then we're going to have some presentations from some successful startups in the space industry. So I'll pass this over to Victor now to present the mentors.
Yeah, so thanks to the voluntary offer of great mentors today and tomorrow, you will have the support of a few experts in different domains that can help you and answer questions or propose your ideas to them, so validate with them. And we have with us Chris from Welsh Government Innovation Specialist with more than 25 years of experience in manufacturing, R&D, and product management roles. Then we have Nicholas, a senior mechanical engineer at B2 Space. He's a skilled mechanical engineer in advanced technology, digital imaging, and rapid prototyping with a strong engineering professional. Then we have Matthew from Airbus, an aerospace engineer who is responsible of delivering an automatic production line utilizing collaborative robots for the mechanical assembly of the next generation of satellites processor. So he's based in Newport. Then from Airbus, in the next slide, we do have, if we can go next, Perry. So he's a PhD in mechanical engineering. So he currently works in aircraft structure test engineer for Airbus, but he spent 10 years working on the satellite industry as well for Airbus Defence and Space. Then Luis, who is a digital hardware engineer at Airbus as well, specializing in electronics, circuit design, project management, and rapid prototyping. And myself, that an industrial engineer and an MBA, so with more than 10 years of experience in the aerospace industry, and I can support you more in this business strategy, market validation, and lean way of working to make a project feasible. And then I hand them to Awais.
Thanks, Victor. So for all mentors from Glasgow, there's myself. I have experience with augmented reality and virtual reality. I'm working currently in a research center. So any questions around those fields, I'm happy to support. I also have taken part in multiple hackathons as well in the past. So if any participants want to ask about how to present the presentations or how to lay out their pitch, feel free to get in touch. The other mentors we have is Karina. Karina is a ESA Business Incubation Manager in Edinburgh, and she will be one of the local judges and mentor. And we have Alan. Alan is a senior data analyst at Public Health Scotland. He has a PhD in statistics and mathematics. And for people working on Earth observation data and how to visualize data sets, Alan might be able to help them out. And finally, we have Danny. Danny's from Open Cosmos. He's the head of customer success and platform in the space sector. They're doing some fantastic work, and Danny will be able to help you if you're looking at developing space missions. side. All of the mentors will be available throughout the weekend, but periodically in the morning and in the afternoon. Okay, so to kick off today's webinar, I think we have some really good success stories in startups. We have two young startup companies based in Newport and Glasgow, and they will be sharing their stories, who they are, how they built their idea, and it's for all those aspiring participants who wants to, after this weekend, they want to think about building their idea into a business and commercializing these. It'll be great to listen to Valentin and Joe Gibson. So Valentin is a technical director at B2Space. They are a fantastic company in Newport. They're trying to commercialize and democratize space travel. So when we think about space, we think about big companies like NASA, big space agencies like NASA, ESA, SpaceX, but there's a lot of space activities happening, and B2Space is giving that opportunity to everyone to test their platform near to space with up to 150 kilograms. So we'll have a fantastic talk by Valentin. And then we have Joe Gibson. So Joe Gibson is from Glasgow. He's an ex-Strathclyde University student, and he's working on a drone technology, intelligent drone technology with advanced radar systems for autonomous paths and detection. And they're both early startups, and I think they will both be looking to hire as well. So ask questions about if you like to be involved with this kind of these companies. And yeah, so that's all from me. I will pass on to Valentin, who can start off by speaking about B2Space. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction. Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Valentin Canales, as Alois has mentioned, technical director and co-founder of B2Space. And today I'm going to share with you some entrepreneurial opportunities in the space sector, and as well give you a small introduction of B2Space and our story. So bear with me while I share my screen. Okay, 1 second. Is the screen okay for everyone? Can you see my screen? Hello?
Yes, Valentin. Yeah, it's showing properly.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. So, well, to start, I want to say that, I mean, in the past, the space industry was a sector that was traditionally dominated by the government agencies and big corporations. So we had, I mean, all of the space projects were led by ESA, NASA, the Japanese Space Agency, and very big companies such as Airbus, Thales, or Lockheed Martin were the ones taking all of the work. But this is currently changing. So as you can see now, the miniaturization of electronics and the cost reduction on building and delivering satellites into space has made that many companies are trying now to jump into the space industry. So basically, you can see now that there are many companies, I would say hundreds, but even could be more, of companies developing their own satellites that can be from CubeSats, picosats to even small and medium-sized satellites. And this is making a very important amount of opportunities as well. So now you can start in the space industry with a very little investment, and it can be from, let's say, hardware creation. So I don't know, maybe improving propulsion systems for satellites to change trajectories in orbit, or it could be as well other things such as developing services with information that those satellites are providing. So now this is opening the opportunity to basically, let's say, almost anyone with a good idea, good technology, and a good team to join the space industry. So how to start, how you can start a company in the space industry. So first, to say that the technology is important and it is a key aspect, but it is even more important the business need or the service that you're going to provide in order to succeed as a company. So you may have a great idea, but if there is not a good commercial case behind that, then it will be very difficult to make that happen. Then as well, don't be afraid that someone has thought about a similar idea before. This is something that has happened all the time. I mean, SpaceX was not the first company proposing to reuse rocket engines, and there have been many companies that, let's say, that have not been the first, but then has been the most successful. So, for example, I mean, an example that all of us know, Facebook was not the first social network, was MySpace, but now we know who is the, let's say, the best company. So you can make the difference by having, let's say, offering a better service or improving that idea. So, I mean, there are many things that you need to think when you start a company, but it is very important to know the environment you are operating in. So you don't need to have everything from the beginning, but it is good that you always start thinking about that. So the economic environment, the competition, the social environment, technological environment as well, to see if there are some technologies that are, let's say, pushing through. So with that, then you are able to define your strategy, both on the R&D strategy, marketing, operations, and finance. So this is something that it is important that you, when you want to start a company, you start from the beginning. So some recommendations that we can provide, it is, I mean, don't be afraid that of the fact that more than 90% of the companies created will fail. This is not something to scare, it's something just to encourage you to analyze and think and plan careful in order to have more options to succeed. So the most important things that you need to have in order to start a business are, first, obviously, have this interesting business and service to the market, something that you can have commercial traction. But then the most important thing, apart from that, it is having a strong team to make it happen. So when you go and start looking for funding and looking for investment, what they are going to be looking at is the team. So you have to have the right skills in your team and surround yourself with interesting people that have the right skills in order to make the project go ahead. And then as well, it is very important to have from the beginning a plan. You want to have at least a rough business plan that will tell you what are your objectives and how you plan to get there. After that as well, there are many grants and funding opportunities around. And as well, it is very important that you make use of all of the different industry events and connections. So, I mean, nowadays with the pandemic, it's not so easy to do it face-to-face, but on the other hand, you can go to many more online events. So UK Space Agency, Satellite Applications, Catapult, ESA, and countless more have regular networking events online that will help you get to the right people and surround yourself of the right environment. Then as well, some support available. So, I mean, you know that there are many incubators around. So there are incubators from ESA, Space Agency. There are incubators from the UK Space Agency. And then as well, there are some other like commercial incubators around that you can apply. They can provide some funding, but most importantly, some mentorship in terms of technical support and business support. Then as well, there are many public grants that are given in a competitive way. So, I mean, you have to come up with something with a strong application. But ESA, UK Space Agency, Innovate UK are putting a lot of interest as well on the space sector. So there is a lot of money for good ideas to move forward. Then as well, it is good as well, for example, to create university competitions in a way of start proving your business idea. So to make your idea more aware. And then it is, I mean, there are as well a lot of private investors, angel groups, venture capitals that are now getting into the new space industry. So it is not easy. It is, let's say, very hard to obtain private investors, but it is a good way as well to fund your technology, to fund your business. But you need to be careful and as well plan very well to show your investors the potential of your service. So then a little bit about B2Space. So B2Space, we are still a startup. It was created in 2016 by 4 professionals from the aerospace industry. So Victor, myself, and the 2 other founders met working for Airbus in Bristol. And we created our company as we saw a clear opportunity in the launch sector. So for us, what we intend to be is the next revolution in the launch industry for small and micro satellites. We are focusing on the small and micro satellite industry because it's the fastest growing on the space industry today. So what we want to do is provide reliable, flexible, and low-cost access to space for small satellites. So we are doing this using a disruptive concept. So it is a concept that was first proposed by the American Navy back in the 60s, but no one has been able up to now to make this happen, which is the raccoon concept. Consists on a balloon, a stratospheric balloon that lifts a rocket through the densest part of the atmosphere at altitudes of more than 35 kilometers from where we ignite the rocket, and taking the advantage of having virtually no drag at this altitude. It allows us to save a lot of fuel and reduce a lot of cost because we can design a much more optimized and efficient launch vehicle. So as well, in order to support that, we are using innovative technologies to make this happen. So from using generative design to have improved designs and reduce weight on our designs, to other advanced manufacturing techniques such as 3D printing, but as well developing autonomous systems in order to reduce the complexity of the mission management. So we started first from the market. So as I mentioned before, it is very important to know your environment. So we did an analysis of the market, and we saw that despite the huge growth on the satellite manufacturing and satellite planning, there were some blockers that was preventing this new space economy to fully reach its potential. So one of them is the bottleneck in the satellite's launch. So there is not enough capacity now in the market, and there are big waiting times for satellites to want to launch into orbit. And then another factor is that it is very expensive to get there. So there is now, let's say, a space race to drive those costs down. And then as well, there is not a dedicated service at the moment for small and micro satellites, and they are mainly having to use ride-sharing options as secondary payloads. So then, as you can see, the satellite market, it is very big and very promising. In the next decade, more than 6,000 satellites are expected to be launched, with more than 4,000 of them being small satellites. So this means a big opportunity, let's say, not only for the launch sector, but all of the technologies around the small satellites, all of the hardware creation, software, services, it would be an even much higher value market than this. So for us, we are basically then how we are ensuring that we provide the right solution. So we are obtaining a solution for each of our technical challenges. So from the balloon control, from the launch control, and high altitude operations. So with this, what we want to make sure is that first we have the market need, then we have the technical solution, and with that, then we have our plan. So as part of our evolution, complementing our launch services, we decided as well to launch 2 other business lines, making use of the synergies and technologies that we were creating for our raccoon concept. So as it has been mentioned before, now we are able to offer our an aerospace testing services, which basically consists on taking a big stratospheric balloon, fly it at 35 kilometers of altitude, and we can use it to test, qualify, and validate components, subsystems, or even complete CubeSats in space-like conditions. So we did this project with the support of the European Space Agency Business Incubation Center at Harvard, UK, where we got some very, very good support. And then as part of that as well, we are starting another area, which is HAPS, high altitude pseudo satellites. So we are basically equipping our near space testing platform with Earth observation instruments, communications instruments, in order as well to be used as a complement to satellite technologies, in order to be able to provide, for example, communication in remote areas or real-time information when monitoring disasters, as satellites have, let's say, a limited repeat pass through the same point of the Earth. And then as well, as I mentioned, another important part is the team. So we have a very strong team at the moment. We are still small. We have 10 team members, but our background is coming from top aerospace companies. So we, let's say, have created a small career on the aerospace industry before taking the step of creating our own venture. And as well, you need to know as well that it is important to have very strong partners and surround you about very strong partners, because this can help you in terms of mentorship, support, and even as well funding and materials. So in our case, we have ESA, the UK Space Agency, the Welsh government, and we are very, very happy and very proud of having these great partners. And just to finish, let's say, our story began in 2016, so it has been almost more than 4 years up to now, and it has been not, let's say, an easy journey. So the first 2 years we were working mainly on the technical and commercial feasibility plan, on providing awareness of our ideas, but just until 2018, it was the point when we obtained our first grant. And after that, let's say, we have been able to obtain more and more, but let's say the beginnings are difficult. So don't get desperate if at first you don't get the traction or the funding that you're looking for. Because after you, let's say, the most difficult thing is obtaining the first bit of funding. After that, it's still difficult, but it is a little bit more easy as you will have the experience and you will have been able to mature and develop more your idea. So now I will hand over to Joe as well to explain the success story of his company.
Hello, thanks, Valentin. I thought it was a great presentation, very interesting, and it's good to see where the space industry is really going in the UK. So I'm just going to share my screen. Can you see that? Can everyone see that? Okay. I'll just assume yes. Let me know if you can. So yeah, I've been asked to kind of give a bit of a chat about me, kind of the business that I'm working on and kind of my journey so far. And so I'll do that.
Sorry, we can't see your screen yet. Hang on a second. Let me make sure it's up. Have you shared it? Because I can't see it on the.
I have shared it. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. All right, found it.
All good.
Perfect. Yep. Go ahead.
Sweet. Yeah. So just thought I'd give a bit of an introduction to me, my business, my story, kind of a couple of key lessons, and then at the end, actually, if people have questions, that'd be great. I guess what do you guys want to get out of kind of from me? So some questions would be great. So yeah, me. So I'm an electrical engineering student from the University of Strathclyde. I have a bachelor's. I was supposed to have started my master's last week, but I since just graduated with my bachelor's, and I'm kind of committing full time to this business. And I'll come back to that in a minute. I've won a couple of awards. I have a few scholarships. I was part of the University Air Squadron, which was super helpful, especially kind of in terms of building my kind of leadership skills and various other things, team working skills, working high stress environments, presentation skills, which have all been absolutely fantastic. I was also an engineering intern at BAE Systems, which was really helpful for things like learning about patents, loads of networking, industry knowledge, and so on. And one of the things I would like to highlight is, with regards to things like the awards and scholarships, is I think it's so important to get out and apply for all these things, because it's been super useful for me for things like exposure, networking, and it kind of all kind of comes to the story that I'm about to tell about my business. Is a lot of that success is backed by things like those awards, and you guys who are taking part in SPACEAPPS, you guys have that kind of same attitude, and that's only going to massively benefit you. So kind of going on to my business. So we're kind of working towards the drone problem. So a lot of people remember the Gatwick incident that happened, and it's not a lone incident. Drones are disrupting airports, they're disrupting oil facilities, they're disrupting critical infrastructure across the world, and it's becoming a massive kind of issue that's resulting in a fast-growing industry of counter-drone solutions. But there's no actual way of solving it. There's no reliable way, no safe way to handle these incursions, and that's what we're developing. So our solution is a fixed-wing drone driven mostly by artificial intelligence using a human on-the-loop system. And we're aiming for fixed-wing design, which is kind of novel in this industry because it gives us a greater speed and endurance, and that's kind of gives us that edge on the competition. In addition, we've got a novel capture mechanism. So the idea is that we physically capture an intruder, and that's it's quite difficult to do, but we've got a very novel system that we think can do it far better than anything else. And we're looking to patent that system at the moment, which should give us a huge edge. In addition, we're working on a high-resolution radar alongside the University of Strathclyde to identify drones in three-dimensional space, but then also determine their payload. So say you've got 5 drones coming at an airport or whatever infrastructure, and one of them's carrying a bomb and 4 of them are decoys, then obviously you want to identify which one's which and then take care of, prioritize which one. So that's a solution that we're working on alongside the University of Strathclyde. So kind of more about the story. So I started, although the idea started back in April of 2017, I kind of worked on it slowly, a bit of a hobby project. The Gatwick incident happened in December 2018. And it just kind of escalated from there. Back in January of 2020, the university was the first to provide me with a fair bit of support. They provided me with the first lot of money to start our prototype. I went on to win 2 awards, which gave us a bit more funding, which was a huge boost. And that allowed me to bring on 3 new team members, and we worked virtually through during the pandemic for the whole of the summer, just bringing together this prototype virtually and using a 3D printer for all the parts. So it was a bit of a crude mock-up, but very much bootstrapping. But it worked out. We achieved a proof of concept TRL 3, and then we managed to keep working in August and brought it through to TRL 4. And at that stage, I decided that this was no longer going to become my master's project, which was the original intention, was for me to go back to university and do my master's and use this as like a solo project or a team project. And with all that progress, and we had a lot of support. We gathered support from BAE Systems, from RS Components, and loads of other places. We're getting on board and trying to support us. Conversations with the Ministry of Defence and so on. That I decided that I need to commit to this full time. So I elected to graduate with my bachelor's and go full time with this, which was kind of a big step for me. So I'm quite proud of that. So now we're raising a pre-seed investment round to get us through to that next stage. And then once that round is complete, we'll look to kind of grow our team. So if anyone's interested, please get in touch. I think this is probably the most important thing is reflecting on what are the lessons. How did I get to this point where I feel that I can walk away from a master's and be pretty confident with the direction the business is going and the support we've had. And I think that's down to kind of these 3 key points, and that's motivation. I mean, I work silly hours, like 100 hours a week, and it's the only way I could possibly do that is if I was 100% motivated. I'm so committed to this project, but it's because I'm very passionate about it. And that also kind of leads into the next point, which is determination. I think if you want to get into the entrepreneurial game, you need to be determined. You're going to get so many knockbacks. For those 2 awards that I won, I've missed out on so many others. I've been rejected from so many things. So just getting rejection and then move on to the next thing. I think that's really important to just keep pushing yourself. And that's something I've found that's allowed me to get to this stage. And then the final point, I think I cannot emphasize this enough, is networking. I could talk for an entire day about networking. If you want any networking tips, please email me. I'd love to chat about it. But networking, I think, has been an absolutely vital element of being able to progress the business to this stage and progress the team and build that team as well. It's another important element. And get all that support, all that advice. Networking is a great way of learning from other people, and that's something I think that I valued quite a lot in growing this business. I know it was quite short, but I thought this would be a great opportunity to bring on some questions if anyone wants to chat a bit now. Is there any questions? And thank you very much for listening as well.
Thank you for that, Joe. I'm just going to bring in the rest of the team.
No worries. Should I stop sharing now? Or?
Yes. Okay. Do we have any questions?
I'd see a question in the chat from Vlad asking about how long his presentation can be. And I don't think it's a number of slides limit. I think we're more aiming for a time limit of about 5 minutes, I think, just to give enough time for all the teams to be able to present to the judges. So you can certainly do lots and lots of slides that you just quickly go through, like if you just have like images and such.
And that was a question from Vlad.
I would like to ask a question for Joe. So, Joe, what do you think is for you the main technical challenge that you are facing, and how you are trying to solve it?
I think the main technical challenge, we're quite confident. From our proof of concept, we're quite confident on our ability to execute. I think the main challenge for us will definitely be in integrating our system. So our proof of concept is split into sections. So I think the largest hurdle technically will be integrating those systems without having to change them a whole lot. Obviously, there's going to be elements that we learn from. There's going to be problems when we start to integrate, but I think that has to be the biggest hurdle is integrating across the sections of our proof of concept. I know it's a bit vague, but that's certainly what's weighing on my mind technically.
Okay, very interesting. And another question, for example, as well, how do you want or how do you intend to differentiate from your competitors? What it is going to make you succeed?
Yeah, so we have three main elements for us. The fixed wing design is quite I say it's quite novel. We're the only people in the industry that's using fixed wing design as our way of doing it, and that's it's not as simple as a competitor simply doing fixed wing design. It's quite a complex approach, but the entire team have got a lot of experience with fixed wing, so we have that advantage. In addition, our novel concept, so our novel capture method that we're looking to patent. Unfortunately, I can't divulge a lot of the details at the moment, but our net capture mechanism can go further than any other net capture mechanism. A lot of net capture mechanisms tend to just go out a little bit, then they fall down just to drag. But we've got a novel design that kind of overcomes that problem. So we've got a far greater range. And in addition to that, we're able to capture drones faster, so it's harder for an intruder to be able to get away from our system due to a combination of the fixed wing design and the novel capture mechanism. And then in addition to that, our radar system, although it's still kind of it's in its early stages, it's very hard for anyone to compete with that radar system. It's we can't develop it individually. That's why we're having to work with the University of Strathclyde. It's a very complex system, but we know we can do it, and it'll be very, very hard for a competitor to be able to replicate that radar system.
Good. Thank you, Joe, for that.
Thank you.
I see here that there is a question in the online channel about how important it is to have industry experience before starting a company in the space industry. So if you don't mind, I would like to answer that. I say it is let's say not needed if you don't have previous industrial experience before. However, it can always be a very positive thing, because you can learn how as well companies operate, how the processes are implemented. You can as well get deeper knowledge on some technologies that, I mean, in uni you get very good education, very good background, but then you see that as well put into practice in a real company. So it is an addition. It is something important, but not extremely necessary, on my point of view.
I'd love to add to that as well. I was having this conversation the other day about industry experience and its kind of its relevance. And what I've found certainly is that industry experience is great, but you can have, kind of going back to what I was saying about networking, is you can meet people who have that experience and then learn from them, speak to them, reach out to those people who have that experience and ask them for advice and listen to that. And then, you can learn from other people's experiences. You don't need to go get it yourself necessarily. You don't need to go through years of hard work to learn what they've had to learn. They can tell you.
Joe, if I can build upon that and ask a question, how do you build those networking skills? How do you reach out to these people? And that's the same for Valentin as well. Like, how do you find out people working in this sector? What are who are different business leaders, and how do you approach them? Is there anything you'd like to share with that?
Yeah, I think the first element is practice. Put yourself in as many social situations as possible and just practice them. And remember that every single person is a valuable contact. It's not necessarily, you don't need to be going for the CEOs, or you need to be going for, all the top people. Even your students, your classmates, those people are important contacts, and they're useful too. Everyone's, can be helpful to each other. And I think the other thing is always look to help other people, because then they'll look to help you, if that makes sense. You want to be wanting to help other people, because that will massively help. When you put yourself in situations where, social situations where you're looking to help other people, then the networking starts to come more naturally, if that makes sense. And so I think, I'd say it's a bit of a numbers game as well, like putting yourself in as many social situations as possible. And out of those things, a few good social interactions will come, and then you'll start to build those networking skills. I think there's loads of networking techniques and stuff. There's loads of advice on the internet. But I think practice is definitely a good element. There's loads of competitions. There's loads of industry-sponsored events. There's loads of, maybe not right now. A lot of it's happening virtually, but even virtually, you can reach out to people on LinkedIn. Be really active on LinkedIn. Twitter, all those kind of social media. You can build yourself a presence and use those social media as a way of being socially active.
Yeah. And just to complement, as well, something that Valentin mentioned in the presentation, something that is key is to have the right team, so a great team. So don't try to do this alone. So have not experience in the space is fine. Have not experience in starting a company is fine. Have not work experience is fine. So you will need that probably in that point. So you will need experience in electronics, experience in whatever. but you don't need to develop this skill. So everything that is needed. So you just need to find the right partners for that journey. That is one of the key things, no? And to learn together where is needed, or to onboard more people where is needed. So don't be afraid to share your ideas, to find new partners in the venture, because that really enrich the project and really make the difference of a success story.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. And I have another question as well. Valentin, you mentioned about don't be afraid that there's other companies doing the same project as you, or in the same business area as well. So how do you keep the confidence that, okay, there's another company that's doing the same, they're in the same sector, they're already operating for so many years, but you can go into that field as well and change it. So what advice would you like to give to aspiring entrepreneurs?
So, I mean, if you go to a sector or a market niche where there are already some players, or there is already some competition being built up, you don't have to be afraid. I mean, if you are going to offer exactly the same, then it is going to be very difficult to get there. So you don't have to be afraid, but you have to make sure that your product, that your service differentiates from the rest, and that it is able to improve of what they are currently receiving. So, for example, let's say an easy example, it is the launch industry. So, I mean, if you develop a launcher that has very similar prices to what it is already in the market, to what Ariane is able to offer, then you're going to get it very difficult to have some market share, because if you offer the same, they already are an established company with background, with experience, so they are going to trust more in them. So then you have to offer something different, either, let's say, an important cost reduction, a new technology development that will make you, get more precise orbit injection, or if you are doing a drone, autonomous capabilities or extended range. So you have to find what differentiates you, and basically how that is helping the customers, how that is going to make the difference for them, and basically make them change, instead of giving the money to the current supplier to you. So in the end, it is the customer needs to see a clear benefit to change to you. So you need to make sure that you are able to get your idea and your business to solve that.
Yes, thanks.
Okay, are there any more questions? I don't see any new questions in the queue. Do we have?
Yeah, I think that there is no more questions. So just to add before we close. So, in terms of the mentors, so you will receive, or it will be attached in the link in the YouTube link, a more detailed description of their experience of all the mentors, their roles, etc., so that you can as well find the right people who to contact, depending on the questions or points that you have. All of them should be in Discord, but bear in mind that they are committed this volunteering, so they will not be the whole weekend 100% available. So they may take some time just to answer. They maybe only are for a few hours. So just try to put the question to them, and trying to arrange this moment to talk, but be patient if someone is not available. So maybe ask somebody else, but so they should be there for your help.
Okay, there's one new question actually. Let me put it up. So from Vlad, are the challenges categories mandatory, or can we do an idea tangent with two or more categories? Who wants to reply to that?
So with the challenge categories, if you want to be eligible for global judging, you need to pick one of those that you think is most applicable. There is a category for submit your own idea, which can just be anything you want, but they aren't eligible for global judging. And this is probably mainly due to NASA Space Apps will have a lot of things to go over, and they want to target like each challenge category's judges will just get a long string of things they have to go through. Just in case you haven't read it yet, for the actual global judging, if you're elected from your location for global judging, you'll need to create a 30-second video, and that's what the judges will base their decision off of.
Yeah. Also, if you have you don't have an issue because you mentioned you have several categories, no, where you can fit it. So that's fine. So the only thing I will say, try to choose the one where you can solve more the issue, no. So well, you can have more impact in that category as it will be more recognized by the judges. Yeah.
Okay, we don't have any more questions, so I guess we're gonna wrap
Actually,
up.
sorry, Jen. Actually, we have more from Jamie Nicholas just before the one from Vlad. So it says that, what advice do you have for students who want to get into the space aerospace sector but are not in engineering degree?
Well, I can jump on that one. So the advice that I would give is that like you probably have skills that are still useful. You don't have to have a degree in the kind of standard subjects to be able to work in that sector. So take what skills you do have and then look at how you can apply them and how you can be useful in that sector, and then you pitch yourself to the companies that are involved in that sector. That's certainly how I would view it anyway. You don't need to have an engineering degree or physics, maths, or computing degree to be able to work in those sectors. They need a wider range of skills to solve the problems that they're having. It's not restricted to those degrees.
I mean, all companies, they have marketing, they have sales, they have accounting, they have many other functions and that needs to be covered and that are not designed only for engineers. So there is plenty of room for different backgrounds from different educations in order to work in the space industry.
Okay, perfect. So thank you again to some of the sponsors and partners that are listed here. And I guess I'm going to just ask each of the leads to maybe say a few words before we end the broadcast. From me, good luck to all our participants, and hopefully that everyone has got their teams already. And I'm sure you'll be hearing from us leads for your particular city regarding local, UK, and global judging. Hazel?
Yeah, good luck,
Yeah,
everyone. Make sure you're checking on the Discord for information about everything that's happening over the weekend. And yeah, feel free to ask us if you have any questions.
Yeah, I would say the same. So just try to encourage this communication with mentors, with us. So don't be afraid. I know that sometimes the online event is not easy, not to raise this close contact, but try to be as close as possible.
Yeah, and if you're struggling to find ways to communicate online effectively or some tools, a lot of us have experience with collaborating online, so feel free to message us for tools and suggestions in that regard. And do try to make sure you've got your idea developed by the end of today, because tomorrow you'll likely want to focus on your presentation and how you're condensing your idea down so it fits into a 5-minute presentation, and then if you're globally elected, into a 30-second presentation.
Good luck to all and have fun. This is also about enjoying in doing it. So don't forget about that and have a good day.
Yes, just like to add to that as well. Just have fun. Good luck to everyone. Get in touch with us if you would like us to do another webinar on any specific topic. We can think about it and come back to you. And Yeah, this is also, like I mentioned, about this over 90 countries taking part. So reach out to some international participants as well. And yeah, just really enjoy that we can make use of all the offers as well. I registered my domain registry yesterday from GoDaddy. It's free, so go on, utilize all those offers. And yeah, have fun.
Great. So thank you again, Joe and Valentin, for joining us. And thank you, everyone who joined us today. We're going to share this broadcast with participants who didn't make it this morning. So just look out for communication from your leads about it. Thanks again, and goodbye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Goodbye.